Welcome back to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast interview series sponsored by Myers Windows, Doors, and More. They're a locally family-owned business that specializes in replacement windows, patio doors, and front entry doors, offering a wide variety of product lines of professional installation at straightforward pricing. Visit MeyerCincinnati.com for a free estimate. That's MEYER Cincinnati.com for all your window and entry door improvements. Here's our interview with Cole Baughman, the unofficial 16th member of the Bearcats basketball program. Cole, it's Alex Meacham, man. What's going on, champ?
Nothing much, just hanging out.
Yeah, we've known each other, man, for a long time. What have you been up to?
I've had school, been watching Bearcats games during my study hall.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, good deal. Hey, do me a favor, Cole, before we really dive into this. You have some special guests with you on your left and right. Can you introduce them?
This is my mom, and this is my dad. They've both been longtime Bearcats fans and have brought me into this world.
Very, very good presentation. I like that. Now, Cole, you have a very cool story, man. I feel like there are a lot of people that know your story and some people that don't. I don't think everyone knows like the entire story, man. And we really need to get that out. And I'll be honest with you. We were all scheduled to interview a current basketball player on the Bearcat team. And the three of us talked and we said, you know what? Forget that. We need to interview Cole. That's what happened. And I texted your dad and your dad was like, hey, man, that is awesome, man. Let's do it. So, Cole, tell everyone a little bit about yourself, what school you go to, and any activities you're involved in.
Yeah, so I go to Batavia High School. I'm in the marching band. I play trombone. I do golf, I do bowling, I do AQT, I do track. I do as much as I can with the restrictions I have to do from my genetic disorder.
You do a little bit of everything, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do you like Batavia?
It's amazing. They've given me so many wonderful opportunities with everything I've gone through. They've made me a mascot. I've been able to do that at a couple of basketball games. I'm a team manager for our JV baseball team. Batavia's been amazing.
Let me start back. Like, what don't you do? I should probably. You're involved in a lot of activities, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. Mom and dad, Cole has Stickler's syndrome. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have no idea what that is. Right. Can you give us a breakdown of Stickler's?
Sure. So, and jump in, Megan, if I miss something. So we didn't know anything about it either until Cole was very young. And he had some issues at birth, and then that led to some other issues as he was a young toddler with speech. And we noticed his speech wasn't where it should be. And so through Claremont County Help Me Grow and some therapy for his speech, we were referred to Children's for some more testing and investigation. And once we got to Cincinnati Children's, and obviously everybody knows how awesome Cincinnati Children's is, the folks at Children's almost immediately suspected that he would have, or that he had Stickler syndrome, which is a genetic disorder that he was born with, and it affects connective tissues. So think eyes, hearing, your joints. It involves collagen, and it basically affects all of those things. A lot of it is ear, nose, and throat areas. And so, when you have Sticklers, or someone who has Sticklers, they don't have to present in all the areas. They just have to present in a few. So Cole presents in some ways that another kid that has Sticklers may not. For instance, his hearing has been great. We get it tested every year, and it's been great. But his eyesight has been one area where we've really had to focus. And then he had some issues with his soft palate at the back of his throat. He had some major surgeries on the back of his throat internally. So, he has a very flat bridge of his nose, which is one of the physical qualities. His jawline is recessed, and that's another physical characteristic of Stickler's. But he obviously is involved in a lot of things. But when it comes to his eyes, he is at a greater risk for retinal detachment as a result of Stickler's. He has had laser surgery on his eyes to strengthen his retinas. It's not LASIK. It's literally at Children's, a special surgery to strengthen his retinas. And even after that surgery, he's still at a greater risk than the rest of us for that retinal detachment. And that is the main reason that he is not allowed and discouraged from playing contact sports. A blow to the head of any kind could just like that trigger a retinal detachment. So it's been a balance of what we've allowed him to do and what we've not allowed him to do. We didn't want him to be, a caged animal his whole life. And so we've given in on a few things. He's track and field. He does pole vault, right? So like maybe, not the safest in that regard, but there's a pit and he hasn't missed and hasn't hit his head and all of that. So, but football, baseball, basketball, soccer, all of those were out from an early age. He played baseball and really enjoyed baseball, but once they went to kid pitch from coach pitch, they kind of discouraged that. And so that was the end of that. And he's tried other things. He's tried swimming, wasn't his favorite. Actually hit his head in the pool. So we were like, maybe that's not something we're going to do.
Right.
But he has done really well in the classroom. So we're blessed in that area. And he's doing pretty well. So we can't complain.
Now, in terms of the sticklers, because a lot of people haven't heard of it, how rare is it? And I know how it is. Anytime anything impacts, your child or your family member, everybody goes to Google search and tries to find as much information. Mom, I know you. Trust me, I get it. My niece has a very, very rare form of autism, and his mom, Amy, my sister-in-law, did so much research on that. So can you speak about that?
Yeah, so it is a very rare disorder. That's actually the most thing is it's rarely diagnosed. So there are actually more cases out there than that are diagnosed because someone could have a very minor case and not know. But with Cole, we knew right away. The doctors knew right away with the combination of the cleft palate and his eyesight. It was kind of a giveaway for that. But not only is it rare, but it's also not as commonly diagnosed in the United States. It's mostly diagnosed in the UK and other parts of the world. But Children's has been great at giving us resources for sticklers. The genetic doctor we have there specializes in it. We have a great pediatrician outside of Children's that has done research for it as well. So I feel like we have a great handle on it. A lot of sticklers is just treating the symptoms, not the disorder. So we have to treat his specific areas of symptoms. There's not a overall doctor for sticklers. There's not a cure for sticklers. You just have to kind of treat those individual characteristics that he has.
Yeah. How has this impacted your family?
When he was young, it was all we did. For a few years, he had several surgeries at Children's where, they were cutting on him, and that was tough. I struggled with when he had his laser surgery on his eyes. I was really worried about that. But the doctors have been awesome. So it's impacted us in that it's made us and forced us to find different opportunities for him. He loved baseball. It was really tough when he couldn't play baseball, and his coaches at rec league, and then his rec league coach, who was his last coach, allowed him to kind of be a team manager. And then his rec league coach went to select baseball and allowed Cole to go and be like a player manager. So it's really opened a lot of doors for us that really we wouldn't have had the opportunity to do. So kind of look at it as a glasses half full situation. One of the things it's been a few years ago, when Melania Trump was the first lady during their first term in office, she was in town at Children's, and we were chosen. Cole was chosen, not us. We just got to tag along. Cole was chosen.
That seems to happen a lot.
It does, right? It does. So we were the host family for Melania at Children's Hospital because she came to talk with the doctors about a lot of different issues that were handed. And so we were able to meet with her, and she was amazing. Maya, our daughter, his younger sister, got to sit with her. She actually got more publicity that day than he did because she was sitting with Melania, and that went out on Twitter at the time, X now. And so that's just one of numerous opportunities that we've had because of our affiliation with Children's and really his ability to interact with people and tell his story and be a face for the hospital because they're always looking for ambassadors. And so he's had lots of opportunities. So it's impacted us, I think, more positively than negatively.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. The Bearcat Football Talk podcast interview series is sponsored by Meyer, windows, doors, and more. Now I want to pass it to Neil. He wants to talk to you a little bit about team impact.
Hey, Cole, Neil Meyer here. Obviously, going through Stickler syndrome and everything that you have endured throughout your young life so far, walk us through what the team impact is and what kind of impact it's made on you today.
So Team Impact is an organization that pairs local kids who can't play contact sports with local sports teams. We signed up 3 years ago, maybe a little over 3 years ago, and we were on the wait list for about a year. And then mid-June, she gets a call that Cincinnati men's basketball team has decided they would like to join the program, and I've been decided to join them, which was amazing. I've always been a Bearcats fan. Always loved going to Bearcats events, and this was just a way to get me into the locker room, hang out with the guys, get to know them better. But, yeah, Team Impact's been amazing. Helped me with a lot.
And then obviously, too, for you, Cole, just talk about that, what it was like to have that kind of environment there at Cincinnati, and how did Cincinnati really get involved in this awesome program and really kind of choose you as the role model and the leader for this this project?
Oh, Bearcats have been amazing. They've given me jerseys. They've given me so much gear. We had a Team Impact Day last December. They put me on the bench, announced me in the starting lineup. That was amazing. One of the best days of my life. More recently, we went on the Jumbotron. They announced me. But Bearcats have been amazing. They've done so much for me. They've posted about me. They've done stuff for me. I can't imagine being with a better program.
And then obviously for mom and dad as well, obviously being lifelong Bearcats fans, how awesome is it to see the University of Cincinnati adopt Cole into their program and kind of take them under his wings?
All right. It's been awesome. So when we first, obviously through Children's is how we kind of Megan got connected with Team Impact. And like Cole said, initially I think we were going to be paired with a golf team at Mount St. Joe, and that didn't happen for whatever reason. And then soccer at NKU, and that didn't happen. And so we were kind of like, is this ever going to happen? And Team Impact was great through all of it. It's a national organization. They do this across the country. And so then we got that call, and obviously, being a Bearcat and having an undergraduate degree and a graduate degree from UC and having been involved in lots of different things, I was ecstatic. Didn't know a whole lot. Obviously, we knew who Coach was and some of the players, but we were not intimately connected with them. And they have been absolutely amazing. I can't talk more highly about Coach Wes Miller. The players are absolutely have been amazing to him. He has their numbers. They text back and forth. They've invited him into the locker room. When they built the new locker room, it was the year he was coming in. So it was a 2-year agreement, and this was the second year. They had just redone the locker room for basketball, and he got to help set up the gaming systems and all of that with the guys. He's playing ping pong with Dylan Mitchell after practices. This summer he was in there playing with Cumberland after Wes's basketball camp that he got to participate in as like a pseudo coach and helper. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, the story that really rings true with me was this fall. There was a Wednesday night, the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving game, and we were there, and we had plans to go home and see my parents for Thanksgiving. And Cole comes out of the locker room with this big grin on his face, and he says something to the effect of, Dad, how much do you love me? And I'm like, what? He's like, well, Coach Miller has invited us to Thanksgiving at his house tomorrow with the team. So I said, well, you got to break that to your grandma because she's going to be heartbroken. And so, my mom doesn't really follow sports. And so we had to kind of talk her through that. But I mean, just Coach just included us as part of the family. And, it's been amazing for sure. Obviously, we would have liked to have seen the season go a little bit better this year, but nothing's going to stop us from being fans. And again, we go back to just how awesome they are. And sometimes, things are more important than sports and outcomes of games. And I have to remind myself of that because I get into the games and all of that. But they've been absolutely amazing. And I don't even know yet if we all realize how special these last 2 years have been and will be for us.
Yeah, and then also piggybacking on that, Cole, talk about those interactions there a little bit in the locker room. Who's the best ping pong player of the team? Did you beat somebody in particular, or who's got the best ping pong skills?
I'd say I played Dylan the most, beat him the most. I played JJ Rembrandt a couple times. I think the only basketball player who actually beat me was Rayvon Griffin. Besides that, maybe a manager or two beat me. But I don't think any players were able to beat me besides Rayvon.
So if we need access to the locker room, play some ping pong, Cole Baughman is our guy, right?
You're going to have to talk to Wes about that one.
Yeah.
Wow. He cut you off, Neil.
No access for Neil.
No access. Awesome. I'll throw it over to you, JT, or if Alex got something.
Yeah, JT, before we throw it to you. So Cole, you know that Day is petitioning for an extra year because he's coming from JUCO, and they might get an extra year. I think Connor Hickman is as well because he's got injured. Can we petition for you to get an extra year?
Yes.
I don't see why not. I don't see anything. I don't have anything against it.
I'll sign up. Let me know. I'll write the letter. I want you back again, man. Why number 7?
Well, actually, so she kind of picked it for me. She has to do this thing before the first day of school every year where we pick our favorite food, color, number, and I just happened to pick 7 that year. So when Matt, our old contact, asked for number, she just gave him that number, and I've kind of adopted that as my number. So 7 is now just become my number because of my mom.
Which is actually 7 is actually Nate's favorite number. So oddly enough, I think Cole picked that at a young age, not even realizing that it was actually his dad's favorite number. So
wow.
And you asked for number 7, there was some confusion because I guess number 7 is not a normal basketball number. And so they didn't have that in the the equipment room to put on a jersey. So they had to do some digging to find a number 7.
Yeah. Well, I think now they can. I think
they can.
Yeah. Originally they couldn't. So yeah. That's cool. I'm always intrigued by just even some of the players that play, why you pick that number. And then for you especially, it's intriguing why you pick 7. So JT, you want to talk to him a little bit about what a day at UC looks like?
Yeah. So I'm gonna add a little high school in there too. So when you're going to be on the bench, you're going to go play ping pong. How does your day look? Going to school, getting out of school. How early do you get to the arena when you're going to be there? Especially today when they called you when you came out in the starting lineup. I mean, let us know how that day goes for you. Just give us an in-depth look at that.
Yeah. So last year, me and my friend took a photo every day. We figured out I wore Bearcats 92% of the days that I went to school. And the other 8% were Batavia gear. So a day going to a Bearcats game. We get there normally an hour early. I go out there for warm-ups and layup lines, go to the locker room for the first break. I come back out. I do everything with the team. If the team goes somewhere, I'm right behind them. Sometimes I'm in front of them, actually. Then we get to when they announce the players. I line up just like I'm another one of them, which is amazing. They treat me just like I'm another one of the players. I love that. The day of me getting introduced, it was exactly the same. I was not told I was getting introduced.
We didn't tell him that he was going to get introduced in the starting lineup.
Awesome.
So
He didn't know.
I knew, but he did not know. So
I got into the announcement lineups like I normally do, just expecting to be normal. And Wes waves me over and says, "Sit right here. We're going to get you in the lineup." So I'm shocked. There's cameras all around me. I'm on the big screen. Ray's trying to signal what my announcement celebration is going to be. And then the next day, I'm exhausted. I think I slept probably like 14 hours the next day.
What do people at school say to you about this? Like, you've got to be the star of the school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I got teachers knew, students knew.
that's awesome.
Luckily, it was on a Friday, so I got a couple days of sleep before I had to go back to school. But yeah, no, it was different. It was so much fun. Nothing like I've ever experienced before or ever will again.
So, do you have handshakes with everybody? Because I know coming out there, you had to have at least some kind of handshake with a couple of the players, right?
Yeah,
If I remember correctly.
I have a handshake with Ray. I have two with Rayvon. I had one with Odio Guama, who's now gone, and I have one with Dylan Mitchell. We do in the locker room.
Nice. All right. So you said everybody knew at school. So has anybody asked for your autograph? That's the question of the day.
That's a good question, JT.
Not at school yet. No.
You sure? You don't have to be modest. It's okay.
No, I'm hoping a teacher to come up sometime and ask for my students. No, not yet.
No autograph. All right. So no autograph, but how many pictures have you taken at school?
Oh my gosh, I got albums on albums. She's got
All
albums.
right.
on
I
albums.
got. All right. Good. Push that one out. There we go. There we go.
Hey, Cole. During your time with the Bearcats, who's your favorite player?
They've all been amazing. There's no.
No. I know the political stuff. Come on. Who's your favorite player?
Can I get like a top three? I don't think I can do just number one.
Let's
say this year specifically, it's probably been Dylan Mitchell, CJ Anthony, and then probably Rayvon Griffin. I sit next to Dylan in the locker room. He's been amazing.
Yep.
CJ Anthony, he's one of my 4 contacts. He's been amazing. He gave me a pair of white socks because
He didn't like the way his socks looked.
He didn't like
the
the way my
last game.
socks look, so he gave me a pair of white socks.
Wow.
And then Ray's just always included me in everything, done everything with me, and just been an amazing teammate.
Okay. That's cool. Your favorite former player of all time?
Odio Guama.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that.
That was a quick answer too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't hesitate.
I loved Odie. Odie was amazing. I sat next to him in the locker room. Dylan Mitchell took his seat. Best memory with Dylan was going into the announcement lines. We're running down the full court, downing each other up the entire way down. He misses and hits my forearm. My arm is imprinted with his hand for the next day and a half. But yeah, no, Odie was always amazing. Did the exact same things everyone else did, but still went above and beyond and hung out and talked to me just like I was another teammate.
That's awesome. JT, you got more?
That's great. So in general, when you guys, the parents, I'm going to ask you guys on this one. When you guys got the information that he was going to get called out, like how hard was it to, one, not tell him and slip up? Because I know if I get information, I'm one that might slip up to my kids. 2, like how excited were you guys? More so, because you probably, how long were you holding that information in? Because that's what we need to ask first, actually.
Yeah, it had been, I think we knew they were doing the Team Impact Day, and he knew that. So he knew there was going to be a little bit more involvement. The players were going to have Team Impact t-shirts on. He was going to do the first time out where he threw out t-shirts. So he knew all of that. The only thing we didn't tell him was the starting lineup. I don't know. I think we probably had to keep it about a week. It was hard because, as you know, we let our parents know. So like we got my parents' tickets, Nate's parents' tickets. Cole got to bring 2 buddies to the game. So it was a bigger deal. Normally there's just the 4 of us there, or if one of us can't go, he takes a friend. But this was a bigger deal. We had bought some extra tickets. The team gave us some extra tickets. So I think I was surprised he didn't have an idea that something was going on. He said he didn't. He said he had no clue. And even after West told him to sit on the bench, he didn't really get it until Newman kept pulling him down the line, like as they were introducing him, pulling him down, like, come on, bud, you got to scoot down with me. So I don't know. For me as a mom, that day was, I don't know. There was lots of tears that day, happy tears, lots of tears that night once he went to bed. Nate and I kind of reminiscing. My parents were there and, had everyone's hearts that day, just what they did for him, something that, he might not ever get because he can't do those contact sports. So getting that, starting lineup moment is probably something he won't get. So seeing that as a parent was unbelievable. Absolutely.
Hey, Cole, matter of fact, your game where you got introduced, that was the first home Big 12 game too, correct?
Yes, it was. It was our first.
No. It was versus Evansville.
It was the last out of conference game.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Evansville is also the place that my grandma and grandpa went to college.
Yes, oddly enough.
Her parents both went to Evansville, University of Evansville, and that's where they met.
But they cheered for Bearcats that night.
They did.
I hope so.
Awesome.
I hope so.
Yeah.
You gotta cheer for the Bearcats, right?
You know what's funny, Cole? I never started. I never got in the starting lineup. You got me beat that, man.
So you were on the team for what? 4 years? I was on the team for what? 3 months?
I didn't start on senior night, Cole. I didn't start on senior night, bro. You have that. You know what? I think that's a cool thing, though. I think it's a cool thing. You've got that up on me. That's cool. And Mom and Dad, you brought this up. I mean, how many times have you all just together just shed tears of joy, of this situation where, I've been around you and we see Cole like going in the locker room doing all this, and you're like, do you believe this? Like you said, this, you believe this? Like, how many times have you all just shed tears of joy to see so many people embrace your child?
Yeah, it's been awesome. And I'll real quick, I don't know what our time looks like, but I have to tell at least one little story. So I was a UC undergrad, and I was actually I was a cheerleader, and I was cheering when Alex was playing. And so to think back, I don't know if you remember this or not, Alex, but that's where we first met.
Yep.
We were in Boise for the tournament game that year.
Yep.
And we were just sitting and talking. And I don't know if you remember Ty. Ty was the mascot at the time and a good friend of mine. And we were at the hotel just talking and hanging out at one point. And then so to fast forward, 26 years later-ish, 27 years later, and now we're having this conversation and his opportunities. I'll tell you, the one that got me with all of this, and there's been many where I've just been over like just awesome. But at the kickoff dinner this year, Wes had Coach Williams, and it was at the arena, and it was no expense was spared. And Wes was talking at the beginning, and his introduction, and we didn't know that's what was happening, but his introduction of Cole was when he talked about. It was a great segue, and I don't know if it was a setup. I don't know if he just recognized the opportunity. But it was taught. Somebody brought up starting lineups or who starts this, that, and the other. And so his game where he started was last year. And so at the kickoff dinner, Wes talked about he doesn't care who starts. He doesn't care who starts. That's never been a big deal to him. And he's only cared one time. And the story was that one time that he really cared who started was the game that they let him start the game. And dude, I was a mess, right? Like, cause a lot of my buddies were there, cause it was a dinner for donors and NIL and all that stuff. And so I knew a lot of people there, and I just happened to get lucky enough to be there because of him. Again, like my meal ticket right here. It was just awesome. Like such a full circle moment. Cause I can just remember being, at such amazing games at Fifth Third and, Shoemaker Center, as we used to call it. And so to be there, to see him, to get to enjoy that atmosphere, because there's been a few games these last 2 years where I feel like the atmosphere was really close to what we got to experience when you were playing in those late 90s, mid to late 90s and early 2000s when I was coaching at UC. That Texas game last year, man, was just, I know we didn't win, but man, that Texas game, the energy was just, it really brought back. And so for him to get to experience that, it was just been awesome. Just been awesome.
Neil, you got another question?
Cole, so you mentioned your relationship with Dylan. Have you ever kind of talked about him, like sat down with him and talked about what it was like to kind of play against Cincinnati and his journey to Cincinnati now?
I have not. I'm hoping my plan is I go golfing with a couple of the guys over this summer. Do something with them, sit down, and just talk to them outside of basketball.
Yeah, because technically we are still on through the end of June because it's a 2-year from your start date. So we hope to be still doing something with the team in the next couple of months as well. He hopes to do Wes's basketball camp again. He had a great time doing that too. So
Yeah.
And then Cole too. Walk us through your relationship with Coach Miller and how a day in the life of Cole Baughman with Wes Miller and what he means to you.
Wes Miller's been amazing. He's been a coach to me more than anyone else has. He's given me relationship advice I did not take and was probably a good thing. But no, he's been amazing. There's not much more I can say about him. He's helped me through these 2 years, get adapted to just doing whatever I want in the locker room. Poured a couple water bottles on his head after that Xavier win.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, he's treated me just like another one of the players, just like everyone else has.
That's awesome. That's great to hear.
JT?
I was going to ask, are you privy to share the relationship advice that Wes shared with you?
Not on this podcast.
All right. I had to ask. If you said you didn't take it, so it's got to be. We might have to ask you next time I see you at the arena.
Hey, Colt, let me ask you a couple favorite questions. So, what's your favorite Air Jordan sneaker of all time?
So this is kind of biased. For the Christmas gift this year, they gave all the managers Nike Pro Bearcats backpacks. So I was expecting to get one of those. But then they gave me the same box they gave all the players, and it was all white Jordan 5s. So I'm going to have to say probably the all white Jordan 5s are one of my favorites just because of that.
Love it. Love it.
Nice.
Favorite book you've ever read?
Okay. I read a mediocre book. It was by a basketball player. It was my Bearcats basketball player. Never started a game. That was okay.
My book was mid, huh? That's cool. That's cool. I see how it is.
Yeah.
Caught you, Reggie. Hello, Reggie.
You can't take him anywhere.
I know. So Cole, your family reached out to me about getting you a copy of the book and signing it. I was more than happy and honored that they wanted to get you the book. So glad you could add that to your collection. One more favorite, and I want to kind of go down the line. Cole, mom and dad, your favorite moment at UC outside of the starting lineup deal, your favorite moment.
Can I clarify favorite moment in regards to our team impact experience with Cole?
It could be team impact experience or just, experience with Cole.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not ready.
Okay.
I'm not ready.
Yeah, there's been so many. I think going to Thanksgiving with Wes at his house and the coaches have been great, like Coach Dollar, Coach Morgan, all the guys that Coach Buckley. I mean, everybody's been awesome, and everybody was together at Thanksgiving, and everybody, treated us as such. The guys, I'll be honest, a lot of the guys are kind of quiet, but they were awesome. So being at Thanksgiving really stands out for me that we got to do that and be with them. So that for me, as far as this whole experience, is probably at the top of my list, other than maybe the starting lineup.
Well, Nate, real quick, that when you talk about Thanksgiving, I mean, that's family.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is family together. So that is saying you are family.
And Wes preaches that, and he says that, and he believes that, and it's true. Again, I wish everyone, because I know there's a lot of frustration, I wish everyone could see all of that. I know that it hasn't correlated this year. Expectations were really high. But, when you walk away, like, man, just I feel for those guys because I know they care. Yep. And I know Wes cares. I mean, he pours his heart out. I mean, and it's true. They are family. And I don't think people remember that sometimes. You see all the stuff out there and people are very critical. And I get it, right, with the money that's involved and the high profile and our tradition, our history. I mean, we all want to win, but gosh darn, I mean, they're just amazing. And so, I can't say enough about that aspect of it in terms of they've brought us into their family. They truly have, and it's been awesome.
Yep. Cole?
I think mine is not necessarily a single moment, but I think one of my favorite parts of every game, well, most games when they're doing great, is watching him behind the bench, like cheering with the players, and like the players turning around and dabbing him up and jumping with him, and Rayvon jumping up and down. I think just seeing them include him in those celebrations, even on the bench, to me as a mom, is probably my favorite moments in general. Also funny when he comes out of the locker room at the end of the game, some of the kids will be like, "Oh, wait, who's that? Do we need his autograph? Should we ask it?" And then, like, he kind of like strolls out, and it's funny to see everybody's reactions of him coming out of the locker room. Like, who's this kid walking out of the locker room? And Nate and I just kind of sit back and laugh and talk to you and wait for him to come out. But
for sure. Hey, Megan, how many times during a game do you just get caught up in just like watching Cole?
A lot. I watch him a lot when he's down there. I would say the other thing I watch second to him is the players and their reactions to Cole. I remember back to the starting lineup, like I watched the video so much that night and watched Cole's face. And then the next morning I found myself watching it again and watching the players' faces and how excited they were for Cole. So I do find myself kind of just not even watching the games at time or watching the game and watching an amazing dunk and immediately going to the sidelines to see what the celebration is going to be like.
Understandable. Cole?
I'm going to have to go with two moments here. I know you said one, but I got to go two.
That's fine.
So I want to say it was the TCU game last year when we stormed the court. All the players are already out there on the court, and I'm hopping over the bench, and I get swarmed. Everyone swarms me. All the cops set up a barrier, like with their bodies, so that none of the fans could get to the players. And I'm stuck. I'm like standing with my arms stuck in my chest, can't see a thing. Swarmed by a bunch of sweaty college students. Aziz Bandego reaches over the cops, over a bunch of fans, just picks me up and carries me into the locker room.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The other one's gonna have to be just the shenanigans I've gotten into in the locker room. I got just wheeled around on my chair by Dan. Couple other things happened in the locker room. I'm not gonna say on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Just the incorporation of the players has been the best thing of the Bearcats.
I love it. Neil and JT, any other questions you guys have?
Yeah. So Cole, obviously you mentioned earlier about one of your favorite moments being in the locker room after the Xavier game. Walk us through what that was like with you being in the locker room, first time beating Xavier, and I believe it was 6 years. Just talk about that moment a little bit, obviously knowing the history of the rivalry.
Yeah, so we go in there, we're all excited, and then it dies down a little bit, we all sit down, and then Ray walks in and rips a 30-pack of water open and throws it all over the floor. Like water bottles. So we're all sitting there for a second. We all rush and grab them, pop them open. The second Wes walks in, water everywhere. There's videos of it online. And then after Wes comes in, I want to say it was the helicopter walked in, and we had to do it again. So we grabbed half-empty water bottles and did it again. And then some other guy walked in, and we had to do that again, but this time without water. It was just celebration after celebration after celebration.
We knew he wasn't coming out of the locker room quickly that game.
No.
Yeah.
I was drenched in water, freezing. But no, that was probably the best game within the locker room with the team I've had.
Awesome.
JT?
Cool. I think I am shot out of questions, man.
Yeah.
Because I know like y'all guys asked, y'all doubled up on a couple, and I was gonna like follow up. I was like, in my head, you guys beat me to the punch. Gotta be quicker than that. No,
but Nate, for you, being a sports guy, and I know that's your son, but honestly, how many times have you been jealous that he's going back in that locker room and how many times have you been like, damn it, I wanted to.
Yeah, right. Like, because I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
Because he's getting to experience that in a way that I never did, and that we never have. Because I got to experience a lot. Like we could do a whole nother one of these on our experiences because we were in school at the same time, and the travel, the road trips, all the awesome things we got to experience. Like UC has done so much for me and my family, and now this is like the cherry on top of it, right? Like, and I know the same for you guys. So jealous, maybe a little bit, but the guy's like, I want him to go do that without me. And so I just love that he gets to do that. And they've been awesome. Like they'll come out, like Josh, all the guys, CJ, Anthony, they'll come out and give us a hug and say, thanks, coaches. I'll say hi. So like we're included, and I feel more than included. And so the fact that he gets to do that really just makes me that much more of a Bearcat, knowing that as Bearcats, there are still people who are carrying on the legacy of being good people and doing good things, and letting him get to experience that. So yeah, I mean, a little bit, there's some times I'm like, man, that guy doesn't recognize me, but he was here when I was here, and all. But it's it doesn't last very long because I've been more than excited to see how he's experiencing what it's done for him as he starts to think about college. And that UC's on that list, not just because of sports, but he's pretty smart and he wants to be an engineer. And we know that UC has great engineering. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, it's been great. And I'm just happy for it. I'm so excited for him.
Yeah. Now, Cole, I do have a question about, I've thought about you before during a game. So I always know you go back with the team, you celebrate with the team in the locker room. But there's been times this year we've lost home games where we should have won.
Yes.
And it's not been a good scene. What was that like in the locker room?
Hey, I got to be there. I get to be there when they win. I got to be there when they lose.
For sure.
We all just sit there quiet. Wes comes in, tells us what we did wrong. We go back and fix it next practice.
Yep. Are there moments you want to say something, Cole?
There's been a couple. I've wanted to speak up, but I haven't.
Got to know your role, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to know your role.
All right, off that, I do have another question. No, but have you done any speeches pre or post game?
No, I have not. I talked to CJ about something. Anthony, he's kind of been like the team mom is the best way to put it this year.
CJ.
No, I was talking to him about a few things I thought they could fix, and then he kind of put that into his speech he had at the halftime of one of the games we were losing bad this year.
Yeah.
So you kind of give CJ like the cliff notes, and then he's kind of like, "All right, I got you," and then he does it. Okay, respect. I like that. I'm glad I asked that question.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, listen, we're honored that you wanted to be, on the podcast. And it's, I'm being honest with you when I tell you, JT and Neil, you guys can share this with them. We were all set to interview somebody else.
Yeah.
Before we even talked about you, and then I brought it up. I said, "How about Cole?" And Neil right away was like, "Home run, let's do it." And and like Nate, like you were talking about, there's been ups and downs with the season. But I feel like, Cole, you've always been a bright spot for this basketball program the last 2 years. Brought a lot of joy to a lot of people, and I think it's important that you know that. You probably hear it, but I just want to make sure, as someone that sits in the stands and watches and kind of see things from a different perspective, you are appreciated, and there are a lot of people that love you within the Cincinnati program.
Thank you, Meacham.
Yeah, you're welcome. And you've got two great parents. Sometimes in life you can't control who your parents are.
It's true.
You don't have. It's like you get what you get, and you've got two great ones there, and that, and what they've done for you and what they've invested into you, and also at the same time, what you've done for them, as well. And I think, and one of the things I want to just say to you all, it's like your perspective when things like you have a child and your child has this or that, and you look at, it's not a wall, it's a door we got to open and go through. And you all have done that, and you all have been a wonderful, wonderful family. And, we definitely love having you part of the Bearcat, family.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we appreciate you, Alex, and JT and Neil, for having us on. Like, we're honored that you thought of us and thought of Cole, right? Again, meal ticket, this guy. And I'm okay with that. I'm all right riding his coattails for a little bit. So, but we appreciate you guys and all that you do to promote the basketball program, the university. We are, like I said before, we are try to be as much as possible, no matter what happens in life, glasses half full, try and stay positive. And we are always about the university first. And again, the basketball season didn't go the way we wanted, but, on to next year, right? We're always looking to see what's next. Football season, baseball's having a great start to this season.
Yeah.
Women's basketball, is on the rise. There's so many great things happening. So to get caught up in just the fact that expectations weren't met this year with the basketball program, yeah, it stinks. But it's all about, what they say, it's all about the name on the front, not the name on the back. And so we appreciate you guys for continuing to push that. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's get together soon. Let's go
Absolutely.
Let's go to Bearcat baseball game or something. Let's all get together. That sound good?
Absolutely.
Sounds
Absolutely.
Sounds great.
Good. Hey, we appreciate you guys coming on. Okay.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
All right, for sure. Let me get out of here. All right.
The Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast interview series sponsored by Meyer, windows, doors, and more. Hey, fellas, great interview with Cole, man. Great family. Like, sometimes when, you've got a kid that, might have a disability, a disease, you've got some parents that just pour their heart into that child, and some parents look at it like, why me? Why does my child have to be like this? They're just such awesome people. JT, thoughts on the interview?
No, I thought it was a real dope interview, man. Like, like you hear about stuff, but then like getting into like the nuts and bolts of it, like of a situation where he can't play contact sports, stuff like that, but he's, persevered and they found him stuff that he could do. And I just thought like I thought it was dope seeing it. Like, I know I was at that game when, he got announced, but then it was like, hearing how excited, the family was, he was. It's crazy. They had they kept a secret for a whole week. That's crazy. Like,
that wouldn't have worked at the house.
Hard, man. It's hard. So yeah, man, I just thought it was a very, very dope, insightful interview, man. And it's cool how, I'm sorry, trying not to take all the points, but just cool how like they've integrated him with, with the team. You know what I mean? Because I know that makes him feel as a young person, like, I've had, my kids have met a couple of the players. I know last year Zane and Juju met Dan, and I think they met David and Julius, and they were just like geeked about it. So it's like, that type of stuff, man, they'll never forget, no matter how old he is and how old they are. So that's, you can tell, man, like every time he just starts glowing soon as we start talking about the team. So that's dope.
Yeah, for sure. Neil?
Yeah, I think it was cool to hear not only his story, but I think it was cool to hear how he's really been adopted to the Bearcats family. Obviously, he shared the story about how Wes Miller invited him and his family over on Thanksgiving, and that's a pretty unique story. That's something not many people get to really kind of see about. But most importantly, it was great to hear his story and how he's tackled life, and he's beaten the odds, and he's really kind of kept a level head and opened all those wonderful doors, even after some of the biggest things have been taken away from him due to having Stickler syndrome. So overall, he continues to live life with a big smile. He's always outgoing. So overall, to hear him happy, getting involved in that kind of stuff, and having that other support system that not many people get to have is awesome. And it was great to hear guys like Dylan Mitchell, Rayvon Griffith, CJ Anthony, and the list goes on and on, kind of adopt him and be that role model for them as well. Obviously, being a younger guy like Cole in high school, I mean, it's great to have those role models when you're older. I know I'm myself a high school coach, so I always preach kind of those relationships. You want to keep those people close and always kind of take the positive outlook on things. And Cole's a bright example of that. So overall, it was really cool to hear his story.
Yeah, for sure. And fellas, listen, we've got to record our end of the season podcast soon and talk about this Bearcat basketball team. We got a lot to talk about. That might be a two-parter, man, to figure out this team. Now, Neil, help me out. So the Bearcats will most likely get an offer to go participate in the Crown, or is that still up for debate?
I think it's still up for debate right now, obviously, depending how the Big 12 tournament kind of shakes out. But more than likely, we'll see them in the Crown. But I think we'll know more for sure kind of on the Monday or Tuesday side of things.
JT, if they get invited, like I said, the Crown doesn't work and they get invited to the NIT, would you go?
This year, probably not.
Yep.
This year, I would.
That was my feeling.
I would say no. If it has to go where they get invited to the NIT, and that's an option, I probably would decline it this year.
Yeah. I think they should. I mean, if they can go to the Crown, you go. There's NIL money.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense. But yeah, we got to figure this out, man. We gotta do kind of our wrap up podcast because if they do go to the Crown, we've got a long window before that happens. So yeah. But anyway, great interview with Cole, man. Loved having him part of Bearcat family, Bearcat Nation. Wish we can get him back for another year, but sounds like it's just a 2-year program. So, yep. We want to thank everybody for listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast interview series, sponsored by Meyer Windows, Doors, and more. Go Bearcats.